Good morning and welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. We have a couple of special personalities this morning. We're going to get right to that. But we always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two. And it's going to be in-house this morning with the permission of Mr. Ash, who runs this whole show up here. And seated to my right is my associate here on the Viewpoint program, Mr. Lloyd Kirby. Lloyd recently received a special award, and I'm not going to try to get into technicalities of that. I'm going to let Jim Ash tell you about what that award is. And the award came, I want you to know this is not just from a bunch of fellows sitting around. The award came from Mr. Kirby's peers in his profession. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about it.
I don't have a microphone.
All right.
Just talk really loud.
All right.
You'll be fine.
Go right ahead, Lloyd Kirby, please.
Well, it's the Alpha Epsilon Rho, which is the National Broadcasting Society Electronic Media Association. They're actually merging several groups together, and it's eventually going to be under the National Broadcasting Association, I believe, is going to be the final organization. But just lucky enough to have a gentleman who's the president of Alpha Epsilon Rho, Jim Wilson, who I'd known for many years. He actually worked with my sister in radio when my sister was living in St. Louis, and we got to talking about what I've been doing and with live streaming and new websites and broadcasting, and he said, hey, you know what, we could use some members here, and you need to be nominated by a current member, so how about if I nominate you? And here we are.
How neat. Well, it's a recognition by your peers in your profession. That's a big deal. So congratulations to Lloyd Kirby, my associate here on Viewpoint. Now let's get down. Oh, wait a minute. I want to say good morning to a very special listener. He's listening to his daughter this morning. Good morning, David Welty. Have a nice day, sir. We'll talk to you later on at the lunch. We'll talk about this. Go ahead. Go ahead. Introduce our nice ladies.
And so we do have guests with us this morning, of course, from the Lincoln Women's Club. We have Ellen Dobahal, who is the membership chair, and Ruth Sloot, who is a past president of the organization. So, ladies, thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Well, the purpose of having our nice ladies with us this morning is we're going to review the history of a very interesting building, very modest building. Built high, maybe we'll find out the history of it, but it was built, as we'll discuss with Mrs. Sloot, to be a Jewish temple. At that point in time in Logan County, we had a fair number of Jewish people living here, and they built themselves a nice temple. And this old fellow remembers that place because that's where we used to go to the Junior Women's Club's dances. That's still, let me see. I'd be about 16, 17, now 99. So I can still remember that. That's not too bad.
It was a couple years ago.
I won't tell you about all that. So let's, Ellen, go right ahead.
Chairperson is a great job for Lincoln Women's Club. For me, it's a good fit. I was asked to do this in 2019. I became a member of Lincoln Women's Club in 2010. Prior to that, I was in Lincoln Junior Women's Club, and I enjoyed that time of my life. Then, things get busy, and you start going to high school events and junior high events with your children, so I did drop out of juniors. But when I was able to join Women's Club, I was very pleased. Chairperson is a great job because it's an outreach, and I think through social media, we're reaching even more people that might have an interest in Women's Club. We've had very strong growth, even considering the pandemic. Would you like to know about the growth?
Yes, ma'am.
In 2019, we had 59 returning members and 14 brand new members join Women's Club. 2020, 65 returning members and 2 new people. I think that was probably pandemic there. In 2021, 61 returning members with 15 new people. And in this current year, we have 70 returning members and 12 new people. Believe it or not, one just joined yesterday. So I'm not saying it's all me. It's because word of mouth, social media.
A great group of ladies.
It's a great group of ladies. We even have one gentleman that has partnered with us, Kurt Fox.
So, nice gentleman.
Yes, indeed.
And he would qualify in my mind to do that. I started saying, my God, there's nothing sacred anymore to even have a man and a woman's club.
I think it's great.
But in Kurt's place, I would defer to that because he's a very nice gentleman.
He is, indeed.
I remember his father and mother.
Okay.
She was a registered nurse.
Okay.
And his father was in charge of what we called the Lincoln State School and Colony in those days. And that was a big thing in the community, big payroll in the community. And when George Rand closed that place, he just about decimated us. But anyway, Bill Fox was a very, very well-respected. As a matter of fact, I've told this ad nauseum almost. I was in the largest class ever inducted in the American Legion at the state school. We did it in the gymnasium there. It was right after it was in 1946, right after the close of World War II. And they inducted a huge class of Legionnaires, and it was in honor of Dr. Fox. So good morning, Curtis.
Very good.
We need to have him do a program then.
Yeah.
We should.
That history.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
a
be
great
very
idea.
interesting.
That's a great idea.
Go right ahead, Ruth.
Our membership now, when we started back in 1896, we had initially 114 women join, which was a large club. Our highest ever was 300 members.
Oh, my.
We couldn't meet in the building. They had to meet individually. If we wanted to have a luncheon, we had to go to the Christian church and then divide it up in various places. And the smallest we've ever been is about 64. So we have maintained a very good membership over the years that has been committed to working in the community.
Well, now you said the operative words there, committed to working in the community.
Yeah.
And that's, there is, as a reason for having a women's club.
That's right. Yep.
All of the service clubs, and you could call that in a general, I guess the general title of service club as such, but like the Rotarians and the Kiwanians, they survive in a community like this because they do great things in our community. And the women's club is certainly and I remember had Norma Woods, and I can use her name on the air because they're all gone, and I won't get sued. But she was kind of a domineering lady. And those who knew Norma Woods, well, heck, they're all gone except me, so no point in me mentioning that at all. But she was the driving force in that group. And she was kind of the driving force in having them get dances for wee kids in the women's club building. It was called. Then it became the Junior Women's Club.
Okay. Yeah.
When you talk about Norma Woods, we've had a number of really strong presidents. Mrs. Lutz, our first one, was president, seemed like forever, and she was a mover and shaker, particularly with the library. Mrs. Charles Woods, which was Norma, committed the Women's Club in 1955 to raising money to buy Memorial Park, that area, from the Elks. And she committed us. We ended up raising $12,000 of the $25,000, but she was the one that pushed
Think of
it.
that.
Yes, so she is one of those special presidents that you look at and you know that she had a major part in Lincoln.
No, I'm not going to sit here and hog the air.
You're not? No. You're doing a fine job. So obviously the club has a tradition of service in the community, and you've got a lot of different projects and things going on. I'm sure it's probably impossible to list all of them, but can you kind of give us a sense of some of the things that the women's club does in the community?
Sure. Would you like now or then?
Yes.
We'll start with then.
Well, we've got 40 minutes.
Yeah, we've got 40 minutes. Over the years, we've had numerous projects. Let's start with now, because now I think we have taken on a very significant one. Last year, a lot of swimming pools couldn't open because they could not get lifeguards. And our current president took that to heart and thought we need to do something about that. So this year, Lincoln Women's Club has raised money and through grants put together a fund we're giving to the Lincoln Park District to provide training for lifeguards.
Yep.
And also, it's going to be a fund for scholarships for kids for swim lessons.
Yep.
So, do you remember who some of the grants were from for that?
Some of the grants that we have received, I think it's been discontinued now, but have you heard of State Farm Good Neighbor? We got money through them, several grants. An Illinois Prairie Community Foundation grant. Are you familiar with that one?
We had a speaker. Tell us about it.
Ameren has donated money to us through grants. And of course, going back to helping the building, a big one was the City of Lincoln Facade Grant and City of Lincoln Economic Development Grant. And I think, weren't those dedicated to saving the window, the stained glass window? Also, some people in their wills or in their memorials have listed Lincoln Women's Club as a recipient, which is lovely to think about, because then that person is, we have a plaque, for example, on one of our ramps, or the ramp to our building, honoring them. So other grants for the swimming.
Was it the Eaton Corporation that provided
Yes,
that
Eaton.
one, I think?
Yes, Eaton here in town.
They're very good about contributing
Yes.
to the
Yes.
community
I'm
in
pretty
various
sure.
grants and so
I think
forth.
they were 2,000.
Yes.
Well, that's very, very nice.
It's very, very good.
You mentioned swimming and lifeguards and so forth. In the older days, we used to have Learn to Swim Week, which was done by the American Red Cross and sponsored by them. And that was in Lincoln Lakes.
Sure.
That was a halcyon place to be for swimming. They had a great beach, which
Sure.
was formed by their dredging operations, big old sand beach.
Yeah.
And they always had it early in the spring. And every time they had it, turned to be cold as the devil. Had to get out there in that water, and we taught kids, we taught older people, and I also earned my water safety instructor's rating from a fellow by the name of Herb Alexander. He was a big gentleman.
Oh, yes. Sure.
Big gentleman. I worked
Sure.
for him as a kid in high school in his grocery store. And he saw to it that I earned that water safety instructor's rating. He liked to drown me when I was going through that. But you mentioned something just in bypassing here just a second ago, your window. That building is architecturally a beautiful building. Very simple, nothing fancy at all about
Agreed.
it. But it's well built,
Yeah.
and it has some wonderful features. So let's just talk about that just a minute, Ruth.
Well, the architect was Deal, which is a name that throughout Lincoln, many of our buildings were designed by him. And it was constructed in 1910, and it is considered a Roman design. And it uses Bedford stone and dark face brick. And originally it was the temple. And it was a very small congregation, and as the men died off and the children left the community, they no longer could afford it.
Sure.
So in 1927, the Lincoln Women's Club, we had $1,000 saved, and we borrowed $4,000 more, and we purchased the building.
That was a lot of money in those times. Mom.
Yes, it was a lot of money in
That
those
was,
times.
and then we borrowed an additional $4,000 to renovate it. We sold the benches, the doorway, and we sold all the stained glass windows on the sides, but kept the main one above the door. The Cornland Christian Church Methodist Church is who bought the windows and pews, and it was later destroyed by a tornado, so those are gone forever. When we bought the building, they decided to remodel it. We don't know what happened to the altar. We assume that went back to a higher level Jewish church. But they installed an oak floor. They built a stage. They put lights on the bottom of the stage so they could have professional productions there. And they did over the years, not many, but a few. They did something, they redid the kitchen, and they did a number of renovations to make it work for the women. And since that time, we've owned it, and we've taken it from coal burning to gas. That happened in the 50s. We approved doing it, but they had to wait till they put gas in that neighborhood. So going back, because I skipped something. We borrowed about $9,000 in 1927.
You're an intrepid group, weren't they?
Yeah, we paid it off in 1937, which was in the midst of the Great Depression.
Yes.
And none of the ladies worked. And they were all stay at home because at that period in history, women didn't work outside
Right.
the home. And they still managed to pay that building off. And we have held it. We've borrowed money a few times over the years to do major projects. I think one of the last ones when we installed all the energy efficient windows, we took a loan out and then paid it back.
You had a very modest stage in
Yes, we
that
still
building,
do.
which was the altar at that time, I presume.
I think
would
maybe
guess.
they reversed it. I don't know.
Maybe have been, but anyway, that was used in the times when I was a kid, when we had to do dances there. They'd hire bands from around Central Illinois.
And they would be up on the
They'd be
stage.
up on the stage.
Sure.
Yeah. We had a guy from Greenview, Illinois, whose name was Tiny Hill. which was not very well named for him because he was obese. And he had a great band, and he was very much in the band.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're one of the few women's clubs in Illinois that owns their building.
There are 4. One is down in St. Francisville, and it's an old log cabin. Then we,
Seriously?
yeah, that I've not visited. We have the Naperville Women's Club, and I'm going up there to speak in the near future, so I'll check out that
All right.
building. And then we have a club that was one of the original clubs and left and joined us again, came back into Federation this year, and that's the Peoria Women's Club, and their building is very large. It's downtown. It is gorgeous. Has a huge theater in it. They're working on renovating it too. So there are 4 in the state of
Okay.
Illinois
Good
at
to
this
know.
time.
648-5510 is our number, please. Our guests this morning, Ellen Oberhall and Ruth Sloot, 2 stalwart members of every organization has to have a stalwart member too, Lloyd.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate your giving us your time this morning. So feel free to call in and ask these ladies about the history of this very interesting building here on the northeast corner. Yes, northeast corner of Latham Park, and Latham Park in itself has great history. And some of you remember when we used to have band concerts down there every week, and people, instead of sitting in their chairs, would drive up in their cars, and instead of applauding, they'd honk their horns. That's just the way it was.
Aw.
And we had a great band. The American Legion had a great band, led by Dave Hanger, and who could play the piccolo. And when they played the Stars and Stripes Forever,
Oh, I
sit
bet
here-
that was-
I could sit here and get chilled thinking about
I
that
imagine
Dave Hanger.
so.
He could really reek that piccolo out. So anyway, that's a little history. You get to be older, you just think about those little minuscule things. But go right ahead, ladies. This is a history of our community, and it's still very active in our community right now. The Women's Club building, we're doing a lot of good.
We are very active locally. We've had a food insecurity emphasis this year and next year. So we have been donating not only cash to put in a money jar each month for taking to food pantry donations, but encouraged to bring certain kinds of canned foods or other non-perishables at each meeting. We meet September through May. And then in the summer, now that we're starting up summer band concerts again, and occasionally we'll have summer outings, socials. We can talk more about the social outreach in a little bit. But we support not only Logan County food pantries, but Habitat for Humanity, Lincoln Public Library, including the summer reading program. We support LAMS, which is Lincoln Area Musical Society, Logan County Fair, Salvation Army. We enjoy ringing the bell at Christmas time, of course, and other things at the Salvation Army actual building. And as Ruth mentioned, this year, of course, we're very pleased to be helping out with Lincoln Park District lifeguard training and swim lessons. These are just a few things that we do locally. Nationally, we contribute to Wreaths Across America, where they put wreaths on veterans' graves. The Prevent Child Abuse organization, Children's Research Foundation, and very heavily we support veterans. At Christmas time, we do stockings, which are filled then with items that a veteran or even a current service person might need, and those are sent off. We helped pay for the sending of the Christmas stockings. Some ways that we also are, if you want to get into fundraising, besides the grants, we do things like online shopping events, raffles, drive-through suppers. There's a May 4th schnitzel dinner coming up that we will be working at the American Legion. We do graduation signs. That's a great one. We can talk more about that in a minute. We've had garage sales. We do a September soccer tournament. We do concessions at that. The ice cream social is coming up. These are just a few things. Ruth, what comes to your mind on fundraising?
Before we get into further
Sure.
fundraising, we have a fundraising event here. It's called Commercial.
Oh, okay,
But
gotcha.
Once again, the old man in his dotage forgot we have commercials. Go right ahead. Paid obeisance to our sponsors, whom we appreciate very, very much. Right back live in the studios here at Viewpoint. Mr. Kirby, go right ahead and introduce these ladies again.
Yeah, once again, today we're joined by Ellen Dobahall, the membership chair, and Ruth Sloot, who is a past president of the Lincoln Women's Club, and we're talking about a lot of things: the history, the Women's Club building, some of your fun or your community outreach activities. We mentioned before the break about the upcoming dinner, the Schnitzel dinner on May 4th. We're talking off air. There's also some other things going on in addition or in conjunction with that, that you're helping out some other folks in Logan County as well. Want to tell us about that?
The first responders.
Yes, the first responders. We asked members when they bought the tickets if they would donate a ticket or two to provide a meal for the first responders. There'll be 60 first responders working that evening, including at the hospital, both fire districts, the National Weather Service, the hospital emergency room, and so we have 60 meals that will be being delivered to them as a thank you for all they do in our community. And this is at least the second time and maybe the third time we have done this. It's a new tradition, and I use that word tradition because we're big on continuing things. We like our past and we like to honor it.
Good.
So
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
And so I see it's an $11 donation. The meals will be available May 4th from 4:30 to 6:30 at the American Legion. If folks are interested in purchasing tickets, how can they go about doing that?
They could contact Carol Mills, she or Jen Spicknell. They are our two chairmen, and they would have any tickets that we have left.
Okay. And or you can, I believe you can go on the Facebook page and send a message that way as well, or all right, well, or you can call the station and we'll
Call
put
the
you in
station.
touch
Yes,
with
I can
people,
leave a
so,
phone number
all
with.
right.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, 648-5510 would be the station here at WLCN. Just a side remark here, Lloyd. Your boss, James Ashes, I think he has a bed in the corner here somewhere because he's always up here working. And so you'll find 648-5510, and that would be the number to call to ask questions of these young ladies. They've given them their time this morning, like they do all the time when they go to the meetings at the Lincoln Women's Club, who is a driving force in some of the nice things that happen in our community. So Ruth Sloot and Ellen Dobahall, we appreciate your being with us this morning. Call in and be nice to you. You don't have to genuflect on the phone or anything like that, but call and ask them some questions about the Lincoln Women's Club. It's a quiet organization in that they don't toot their horn a lot about things they're doing in the community. But by the end of the year, they've done a lot of things in our community.
Pretty impressive resume of items. So we talked earlier about your membership numbers. If someone is interested in becoming a member, how do they go about doing that?
They can call me. I'll leave my number here at the station. Also, they can talk to any of our officers. There's also a Lincoln Women's Club post office box number 43. They could send a note to that post office box 43 in Lincoln. I was just looking at our program book. We have a yearly program book, which the cover here is designed by this person right to my left, Ruth Sloot, and she tries to do a different new cover every year. But the vice president's job is the vice president, when you're the officer, vice president of a women's club, your job is to plan programs. And that's a big, big job. We try to always incorporate Lincoln Junior High jazz band as one of our numbers, one of our programs. And additionally, at Christmas time, we like having the high school madrigal or high school singing group to come out. It's,
Can I interrupt for a
of
minute?
course,
We meet the third Wednesday of the month.
correct.
At 1 o'clock, except in March, and when we always have a program, and that's what Ellen's telling us about the various programs we have.
And another very good program that we've enjoyed is the springtime. We have a luncheon, and that's very special. We kind of pat ourselves on the
Dress
back
up-
a minute
dress up a
to
fair.
kind of wrap it up. That's always a special, fun time. And the different programs we've had this year include the Eye Care International, where they donate used eyeglasses, sunglasses, and readers to folks that don't have any way to have the gift of better vision and health. We also had a program put on by the Butterfly Project, Children's Home, and we had an actual author that is from Lincoln. She came and spoke about, she's a local Army veteran who shared her experiences and also had copies of her book that she signed and we were able to purchase. As I said, December was the Madrigal Choir, which was delightful. In January, we had Sarah Helm from Community Foundation, Land of Lincoln. In February, this was a great one. We had a he's retired, but former U.S. Army. He was a guard for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh,
He was fascinating. His name is Matt Krieb. And were you at that one? That was a great one, Ruth. March was a scholarship breakfast. In April, we had the jazz band, as I said. So we tried to, sometimes we have repeat, like the jazz band. We will almost always contact them. But I'll tell you what, these programs are illuminating to all. And that's another draw, I think, as far as the meetings. Go ahead, Ruth. Anything else?
One thing February. Every year in February, and we have done this for more than 50 years, probably closer to 70 or 80, the local DAR
That's right.
and the Women's Club have a joint meeting. And they are the ones that organize the program, and they're always exceptional programs. And we sit down and we share coffee and a dessert and a meeting time with them. It's one of the organizations that started about the same time as Women's Club, because in 1890, women were finally getting outside the home, meeting other women on an equal basis, and working to improve their communities. And DAR started around the same time. It was a few years later when we started this joint meeting.
That's an important
you know, Ruth,
point.
you mentioned the DAR, the Daughters of American Revolution. Get it right here. Daughters of American Revolution. My mother was a very, very proud member of the DAR. To know that her history had gone back that far, and so she qualified to be a member of the DAR. That was until they refused to let the lady, gosh, I've gone blank on it, sing at Constitution Hall. And my mother was so upset about that, she tore up her DAR card and sent it to the membership chairman.
Oh,
What's the name of that?
Was it
Quickly,
Marian
what?
Anderson?
No, it wasn't Marian Anderson. She was a contralto, and I can't think. I think the old man has slipped. Because that has been in my bed for years, because I knew my mother got so upset. And she told me this story later on after I've been.
well, good for your mother for taking a stand.
She had the courage of her convictions, and so that was that's the same mother that washed my mouth off with soap when I used the N-word. So she was committed.
Very good.
Ellen also mentioned March is our scholarship breakfast. It used to be a prayer breakfast. We've kind of changed it over the years. We started a scholarship in about 2012, I'm going to guess on that year. And it is to a young lady, because we are a Women's Club organization, that is a graduate of either Hartsburg, Lincoln High, Mount Pulaski, I think those are the only 3 high schools in the county. A county high school that's going to a college, and we have been giving that scholarship every year. This year it's a $1,000 scholarship, and we don't have a lot of applicants, which I'm not sure what's going on. Those mothers, I don't know. In my day, the kid, you better get that application in.
Yeah, seriously,
So,
yeah.
This year, our winner is from Hartsburg-Emden. I believe, I don't know if I know her name or if her name's been published yet, but a young lady from Hartsburg-Emden is our recipient this year. And she will be present at our May meeting to meet us all and say a few words. So that's very good.
Yeah, so it gives the student not only the encouragement to further their education, but also picking up some skills as far
Sure.
as public speaking and
Oh, sure.
networking and all those kinds of things. So, is there anything, like if someone wrote you a blank check for $1 million and there was some project you could fund or some, something you could do in the community, do you have any sort of, boy, it'd be nice if we could do this kind of dreams or aspirations or goals for the club?
That's a great question.
I can see the ideas floating around now.
yeah, I know.
Half a dozen
No,
ladies sitting around, how are we going to spend this money? Yeah.
In my mind, and this is just me and no one else has listened to me yet, but I believe the Rotary is doing something about it. We have this beautiful Latham Park. We have these wonderful new children's playgrounds. I wish we could put benches in there so there'd be a place for the mothers and the fathers to sit and watch their
I
kids.
think Rotary is working
but
on
Rotary is getting started with
Now,
that
you know, that's a
project.
very simple thing, but
Yes.
simple it may be, but
It's
think of the
needed.
lasting impact on
that.
it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So it doesn't have to be a grandiose scheme to make a contribution to our community.
You know, years ago, we've had projects, many, many projects over the years. One of the projects we took on was we developed the park near the train station. Now, I'm not sure if it's the current train station, but we put in a circular bench. There's no name who put that bench in, but I still believe that was the one that was put in by the Lincoln Women's Club 70 years ago, but it's still touching the community. The statue, the Indian Maiden on the courthouse lawn,
That's from our group.
was from our group. We worked with the school children of Lincoln and collected pennies. We put in money. The county asked us to do it. We established that statue. It used to be on the west side of the courthouse. A few years ago with Main Street, it was repaired and moved to the south side of the courthouse. But it's a piece of art in the public, and it's part of the community. So, you know, over the years, we've done things that do make a difference.
I came up with that one.
Well, I don't want to talk. Go ahead, Ruth. You had something you wanted to talk about, I believe.
Oh, thank you. No, well, I was looking at the history of some of the things we've done, and some of them are good, some of them, oh my. Back in 1898, one of the first projects was to work to prohibit minors from buying cigarettes. And they lobbied for this down in Springfield. And they also worked what we now know as the state school. They worked there to encourage them not to give the residents cigarettes. But yet, after World War II, we collected cigarettes for the veterans in the veterans' homes. So, you know, it just bounces.
Which reminds me, during my military career, you could buy, I forgot now the amount, but you could buy so many cigarettes. And I did not smoke. And in my infinite wisdom, or lack thereof, I saved my cigarettes that I bought at the Post Exchange and sent them home to my folks, thinking I'm doing them a favor.
Well, times were different.
Yeah,
Times were
right.
different.
I thought I was a hero to my mother. She was a heavy smoker, unfortunately. But that didn't get to her, by the way, which is remarkable. Go right ahead. Go ahead.
So we talked about the Schnitzel dinner on May 4th. Do you have any other public fundraisers or public kinds of events that it would be good to get the word out about? That
Oh, we
people
do
might
hope
wanna put on their
that
calendars?
the community will realize we're going to do our ice cream socials again, and I believe that starts in June, the Sunday nights of June, and the first Sunday night in July. I believe I was told that's when the concerts will be. So come out to Latham Park, get some ice cream and homemade cake, and say hi to the volunteers from Lincoln Women's Club. There will be water, I believe, too.
We sell ice cream, cake. water, and then all that money goes back into the community
Right.
eventually in some format.
Well,
That's
they
right.
lost you, Lloyd. They're nuts. I didn't hear beer mentioned, so you.
That's all right.
And we do not in our building. That's still one of our little rules. We don't allow alcohol in our building. Over the years, that developed, and that is still part of our.
You should have lost your charter with the group I was with.
Oh, we do have, the building is available for rent, and the person you talk to for that is Sue Beaver. She's our rental chairperson. Some people have bridal showers there, or family dinners, or family reunion, Christmas get-togethers have been there. She has all the information about rental. With, of course, they want rental people to take care of our building
Sure.
and to follow the rules so that it is able for all of us to enjoy.
However, the average person driving by on day in and day out would not realize that there's a possibility for rental for some
Right.
bridal or something.
Graduation parties
Sure,
coming up.
Yeah.
sure, exactly right. So
And certainly the rental's not exorbitant, so
it's not
nice,
exorbitant. Do you remember?
No, I'm not on the board anymore. Remember, I'm a has-been.
But it's reasonable, and it's a beautiful building for a small event.
Yeah,
So
we're really lucky to have that the Jewish community that started that building for our community, and here we are, 2023, and that's still a very serviceable building, occupied by a group who is contributing to their community, the Lincoln Women's Club, and so it's nice to have that building still standing, and they've kept it in wonderful shape. It's wonderful it is after the group that I used to go there with dances. We had a bunch of rowdy teenagers.
One of the things we've done in the last year, thanks to a grant, I believe it was from the water company, we are now, the building itself is handicap accessible, the entry. We've not redone the bathrooms yet. But at one time, all we had was stairs in. Now
Yes.
we have a ramp on the north side of the building so that people can be easier access for them, for our members and for the
a
community.
portion of that money for the ramp came from the wills or memorials from past members that in their wisdom wanted to donate some of the memorial money back to Women's Club, of course, because they were either ex-presidents, past presidents from there, or just, very faithful members.
We've lost a number of our matriarchs this last year and a half. We've lost past President Sandy Johnson. We've lost past President Mary Cooper. Immediately before that, we lost longest member, I think, of ever, Ruth Hoppen. And then recently we lost our current longest member, which was Carol Schwantz. When you look, we still do have one left, though. Bernie Depew, again, a past president. She's over 100.
She's like the
and
Mississippi River. She just flows along.
She does. And we are
She's
thankful
great.
for
I
her.
take
We're-
my hat off to her figuratively.
We're
You're in
thankful
the air.
for her. She told us about her work during the war years, and it was fascinating. It was just amazing to hear a live person. You know what I mean?
From that era.
Alive from that era to
Perspective, yes.
her perspective was so marvelous. But here again, with the sadness of losing some of our members due to illness or moving away in some cases as membership person, that's why we need to keep growing, because we need to keep our volunteers, we need to keep our numbers up to do the volunteer outreach that we do. So growth shows strength, and the strength is having enough people to fill in all these different committees, because when you become a member of Lincoln Women's Club, you have opportunity to join various committees such as the arts. They changed the names of some of our committees. So
Education and libraries.
Education and library.
Civic engagement.
Civic engagement.
There's the conservation one.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of that one.
Environment, I think.
Yeah.
Where is that list, Ruth?
Now, in my naivete, I would assume that a lady must be of age 21, an adult.
No.
No, you could take somebody who's 19 or 20.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah.
But we would love to. We would, but we probably don't see that. But we have in this national organization, we have a juniorettes, which we don't have here in Lincoln. We have juniors and we have generals. But there is no age requirement on any of them. You could be 15 and join.
Really?
and stay till you're 102, like Bernie Depew.
Sure.
And hopefully 105 before it's over. So no, there's no requirement on ages. We do meet during the day, which does limit us some. I joined juniors in 1977, and I'm up on my 47th year, I think, in Women's Club, because even though I couldn't attend Women's Club meetings, I still joined. So I'm a continuous member. And then when I retired, I could become more active. But we do have a few working ladies who manage
do.
to make it into their schedule to come to our meetings and to volunteer.
Yep.
You know, you mentioned fundraising. That's the thing that people don't think about when they're planning their estates and so forth. Some people are able to amass a reasonable amount of money, and unfortunately, they don't have a direct family. If they're searching around and want to know where their money would be well used, you could use the Women's Club as a designee of our
That would be great.
memory.
Yeah.
So how would go ahead?
Oh, I was just going to ask, while we're talking about membership, you said there was no age requirement. Since you're Lincoln Women's Club, is there any kind of a residency requirement, or could there be folks from outside
No,
of
we have
Lincoln to
Mount
join?
Well, I don't know if we do have Mount Pulaski right now. We do have Hartsburg, Emden.
We have Atlanta.
We have Atlanta. No, there are no clubs in Springfield at this point. So, we can draw from a broad area. But our projects are focused on Logan County. But as she said, we do children's research, which is Chicago-based, that does research to try and fix children's illnesses, and they've been very successful. We do prevent child abuse. So our monies are going out to, or at least our efforts. So it does affect more than Logan County. So no, we would love to have people from everywhere.
You mentioned the two words, child abuse. That's kind of hidden underneath the sheets, and people don't talk about it very much. But the real world says that exists out there. And anything that can be done by any organization to help any youngster is certainly worthy of consideration.
We've also made quite a commitment every October to domestic violence prevention, or to providing support to Sojourn or shelters like that. So
You mentioned the Butterfly Project as well, that deals with domestic violence as well.
Correct.
So.
Well, you've missed your chance, ladies and gentlemen. Both of you listeners out there, you missed your chance to call in to 648-5510. Our guests this morning have been Ruth Sloot and Ellen Doblehall, stalwart members of what's known as the Lincoln Women's Club, an organization that does a lot of good in our community, and we appreciate the work that you ladies do and appreciate it this morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.